Hey there folks, welcome to this video, and here I'm going to be talking about F1. I mean, of course, we were expecting the first Vietnam Grand Prix to be happening today. Of course, that has not happened, but we have had the F1 Virtual Grand Prix at Melbourne. And it was quite an interesting one, with Charles Leclerc taking the win from Lundgaard, followed by Russell, then Arthur Leclerc, then Giovinazzi in fifth. 18 people running in the race after Gutierrez and Lando were dropped. Just as they were trying to load into the race itself. I saw so many people asking the restart for Lando throughout the race. And I'm actually recording just as the race has ended. I can still see that going on in the live chat. But what I'm going to talk about a little bit is what I think of this event and how it can improve in the future. So I do enjoy the Virtual Grand Prix, I really do. The kind of mix of having people from all walks of life, so including YouTubers such as Joey Broadbent, but also Sports Personality of the Year Ben Stokes. You've also got a mix of current Formula 1 drivers, former Formula 1 drivers, and I'd say future Formula 1 drivers. When you're talking about people like Arthur Leclerc or Delatraz, Haas enter in their reserve drivers in Delatraz and Pietro Fittipaldi for this. And I do like that. I like the fact that you got a mix of people who are talented in this kind of setup. And it ran to half distance, which again I quite liked. In yesterday's video, talk about the race, I was talking about how I like the fact that some of these races go on a bit longer. I don't necessarily enjoy the shorter races, but I understand if they're trying to get to a limited program in terms of length and getting as many people on camera as possible, a shorter program makes sense. For me personally, I enjoyed this, but I would rather it be a kind of longer afternoon, evening and night of it, with two races. Ideally one with as many F1 drivers to get as possible. I realise we've got 6 from the current crop who entered into this one, of course, with Lando being dropped due to issues with the game. And then one where you've got all of the guests. That was kind of what Veloce and F1 were doing for the first one, in a sense. But I don't know. My main thing is I would love to see more and more F1 drivers doing the F1 game. I understand that there are little bits and pieces where it's like, well, it's not exactly the most hardcore of simulations. I mean, this one was run with damage off. But at the same time, we should get more F1 drivers involved. I like the fact that we had 6 of them, and among them we had George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Alexander Albon. But at the same time, I get annoyed when we hear this stuff about Max Verstappen complaining about how F1, the game, isn't a proper simulator, so he doesn't do it. Because Lando does the racing. And Lando doesn't try to sell it as a full-on simulator. It's kind of a let's have fun kind of thing. And if you look at the list of people that we got here, you ended up with people like JB. And they're saying Button's probably the first champion they've had doing this. I think he is actually, the first champion they've had on here. Which is quite cool. But yeah, I would love it if they split it into 2 races, both of them running to full distance, or one running to this, I guess it's confusing, one running to the 50%, one running to 25% of the full race. And then the 50% one could be like the support one, so you'd have your JBs, you'd have your Jimmy Broadbent, you'd have your, I guess at the same time you could have different kind of content creators as well, but you could also have people like Johnny Herbert, Ben Stokes doing that. And then for the other one, you'd want the current crop of drivers or the reserves. So you got the 2 Leclercs, you could have Van Dorn and Gutierrez for the Mercedes if they weren't able to convince Lewis or Valtteri. And I would love to see Lewis and Valtteri doing it. I'd love to see as many F1 drivers as possible racing in it. And this is the thing, like, I understand that we come from an angle of, oh, this isn't proper sim racing. But motorsport is meant to be an entertaining factor as well. And that's why the Virtual Grand Prix pulls in so many views. It's why Lando can pull in so many views. And I guess that's the kind of difference that we need to understand and need to accept and, in my opinion, appreciate. The fact that there can be a difference between the hardcore sims and, at the same time, the more kind of fun entertainment races. So yeah, check out F1's race in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you would try to avoid spoilers by watching this video. See you again soon. Bye-bye for now.